Madam Speaker, I rise in strong support of Senate File 383, the Special Inspector General for the Troubled Asset Relief Program Act. It is clear that both the Bush and Obama administrations, as well as Congress, have failed to include adequate oversight of taxpayer dollars being spent through the Troubled Asset Relief Program, the TARP bill. The lack of oversight and transparency are why one of my first votes in Congress as a freshman member was against the release of the additional $350 billion in TARP bailout spending that companies like AIG are currently receiving. When Congress is literally spending billions and billions of taxpayer dollars, it is critical that we have the most stringent oversight and transparency possible. The good news is that we have a chance to act on this important issue today. The legislation before us gives broad authority for a special inspector general to oversee any remaining spending of TARP funds. This bill will provide the special inspector general with the authority to conduct, to supervise, and to coordinate an audit or any investigation of any action taken with regard to TARP funds. It also will require the special inspector general to submit quarterly reports to Congress, while also requiring the Secretary of the Treasury to take action or certify that no action is necessary when any problems or deficiencies are identified by the inspector. And of course, the bill also requires that the reports on institutions who receive TARP funding be posted on the Special Inspector General's website within 24 hours after being submitted to Congress, so the public has access to this information as well. Simply put, this bill represents a major break from the past. Madam Speaker, the American people deserve to know when Washington is spending taxpayer dollars, and we're making every effort with this legislation to ensure that those dollars are being spent wisely. And while some of us, including me, continue to have serious concerns about the sweeping and the expanding role of government involvement in the private sector, I do believe that we can all agree today that increasing oversight of the money that's currently being spent is the right thing to do. As a new member, I came to Washington hoping to fix broken policies that have plagued Congress for far too long. We have the ability to make that change, and this bill is a move and a step in the right direction. It will take a bipartisan effort from Congress and the administration, but we must make it. So, Madam Speaker, the bill we have before us today will help us bring accountability to a program that spends hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayer money, and I urge my colleagues' support. American taxpayers deserve no less. And, Madam Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman from Minnesota.
Madam Speaker, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Madam Speaker, again, I came to Washington with the goal of increasing transparency and accountability in the way that taxpayer dollars are being spent. I know many of us share that goal. Certainly the subcommittee chairman does. Unfortunately, it is abundantly clear that the initial TARP bailout funding is being spent without proper oversight. There's no doubt. When the federal government is literally spending hundreds of billions of dollars, it is critical we have the most stringent oversight possible of that spending. That's the taxpayer. That's our obligation to the taxpayer, especially now when our constituents are being forced to do much more with much less. They have the absolute right to know that their money, it's their money, is being spent properly and wisely. This legislation will give additional tools to help ensure that there's proper tracking, proper accounting, proper oversight for all the spending of taxpayer dollars going forward. As the subcommittee chairman knows, in committee we heard testimony about the potential for additional waste, additional fraud, additional abuse. This ensures we'll have protection from that. So I ask my colleagues to vote in support of this legislation, reserve the balance of my